Well, good morning. It's lesson 65. I don't know, but I am really grateful that this lesson is in this course and in this workbook. My only function is the one God gave me. I really, 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 really hear very little and very few talking about salvation and what it is and what it means and how it's achieved. And the fact that we all have already been saved. One of the things Jesus says is Jesus is, in a sense, each and every one of our personal saviors. He saved us from the necessity to think we have to die. He says our job is the salvation of the world, not just merely our own personal salvation or a brother's personal salvation. It's the salvation of the world. That should indicate the fact that there is the ability to experience a world that has not only been saved, but is beyond the one that we think we see when we are learning of salvation in a place where salvation seems to be not. The idea for today reaffirms your commitment to salvation. And I am really grateful that I am being given the opportunity to reaffirm my commitment to salvation, because from the very beginning, from the initial revelatory experience I had, and the encounter with God, so to speak, that I was blessed with, there have only been two things that I've ever really wanted to convey, no matter how much I seem to have gotten entangled with other sort of discourses, and in relation to other brothers asking me to talk on other things. The truth is, God is love. And in my experience of finding my own salvation, everybody was there along with me. So I am certain that we are all already saved. And if it's my joy, and it is my joy to be able to present that over and over again. If there are any experiences I would want anyone to have, is number one, that God is love. And in the experience of knowing that God is love and only love, and therefore so am I, necessarily comes the experience of the recognition that no matter what the situation looks like now, because of the nature of space and time, the fact that it has a beginning and has an end, there was a beginning when we thought we needed to be saved, and an end when we know that we all have already been saved. And because of it's all of the past done over and healed anyway, it was healed instantaneously before the tiny tick of time ever got to talk. That ability, the ability to accept that right here and right now, is ever present. It's in every single molecule of everything that is ever present right here, right now with us. And there is no greater joy for me than to be able to say, proclaim, declare that God is love, and that through our forgiveness, salvation is already completed within us. And that's the recognition that we come to. Salvation is immediate. It's not something that we need to wait on. It's something that can be accepted here and now for one and for all. And God knows why I was blessed with it, and God knows why it was me. I often ask the same question, because certainly there seem to be others who would be more appropriate to have been blessed with this, and more appropriate to have been able to see it, and possibly much better at the ability to express it than I am. But I am really glad, grateful, and overjoyed by the ability to have been blessed in such a manner, and to offer you all my blessing and certainty of the truth of it. Yet there's no proof. There can be no proof outside of your own acceptance, and that acceptance obviously comes with forgiveness. It also reminds you that you have no other function other than this. There is no other function than this, because salvation is the end of the necessity to have to exist in the repetitive condition of the Groundhog Day nature of space and time life. Both of these thoughts are obviously necessary for a total commitment. Salvation cannot be the only purpose you hold while you still cherish others. Again, Jesus is teaching you can't see both worlds. He's telling you, he's not teaching and he's demonstrating it. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot see two worlds. You will love one and despise the other. And if you attempt to do this through sacrifice, you will literally build up a resentment to everything and anything that begins to either show you the truth or deny you the truth. You'll be a walking, talking resentment. And there are a lot of good Course in Miracles students who attempt to use the concept to deny the resentment rather than heal it, to maintain the grievance and repress it and suppress it, rather than being willing to express the grievance in order to have it healed. The greatest bar to healing, as Jesus says, is thinking you do not need it. Salvation cannot be the only purpose you hold while you cherish others. The full acceptance of salvation as your only function necessarily entails two phases: the recognition of salvation as your function and the relinquishment of all other goals you have invented. I love Jesus' use of words. Invented. Invented. Within us, we are venting the rage at the idea that we are separate and trying to not deny it through inventing rather than the full expression of it, so that we can claim ourselves in that expression and allow for the healing to occur. This is the only way in which you can take your rightful place amongst the saviors of the world. And God knows that the whole idea of oneness in the world being not real gives everyone enough ammunition to conceptually deny the necessity for this to be an occurrence and your occupation, rather than the preoccupation with the unreality of the world that you would love everyone else to become aware of. Well, the world's not real. Why does it need to be saved? You're not real. Why do we have to speak of salvation? There's nothing to forgive. Isn't that what true forgiveness is? As underneath, people are seething and killing themselves by the repression and the suppression of their own passion through the use of concepts and a teaching that was given to us to allow us free expression. It's like he says, the atonement is a single-edged sword that cannot be used against you or your brother if you decide to use it at all. And trying to skip steps and jump ahead because conceptually the ego will allow you to think you understand that oneness is never, ever, ever going to be satisfying. It's just the way it is. You know, and I'm going to say this. Another thing, teaching A Course in Miracles conceptually is not doing what the Course in Miracles asks us to do and be about. And I know full well that there will be those who look at this video and say, why don't you practice what it is you preach? Why are you teaching me? And there's nothing I could say to that. Yes, I'm guilty. Okay.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Someone's calling. Obviously, the reason why we use a phone is because people are calling for salvation, and we need to express it. We need to proclaim our salvation and express the fact that we're saved, because by the expression of it and the acceptance of our own expression of it, it becomes real and true and integrated in us, so that we operate from an underlying understanding of the fact that we are saved. That is for those who are saved to be about. And for those who are experiencing the necessity to be born again, because they are not experiencing themselves being saved and find themselves in a world of sickness, pain, and death, in which everything is at odds with them. Where within everything is at odds with them, just admit you could use a little bit of salvation and peace of mind. This is the only way in which you can take your rightful place among the Savior's world. This is the only way in which you can say and mean, my only function is the one God gave me. This is the only way in which you can find peace of mind. Conceptual salvation is not what salvation is. Teaching forgiveness is not what forgiveness is. And I understand very well that talking about the workbook is not what doing the workbook is. The experience of salvation was so way beyond anything I thought I would ever come to know and experience, that it's taken me years and years in space and time in working with Jesus and my other guides and with my brothers to integrate the certainty of that salvation, so it can become something I rely on and trust in all my affairs, and not seek it where it is not, nor be attached to what I think salvation should look like, simply because I formed another concept around it. Salvation, while it remains a concept, if unrealized and unactualized, salvation is no concept. As he says, it's your only real achievement here. It's achievable. It's ours to be had. It's there for the taking, not by the resistance of the offering, but by the acceptance and willingness to surrender to the offering so as to receive what has already been given. Today and for a number of days to follow, set aside 10 to 15 minutes for a more sustained practice period in which you try to understand and accept what today's idea really means. It offers you escape from all your perceived difficulties. It places the key to the door of peace, which you have closed upon yourself, in your own hands. It gives you the answer through all the searching you have done since time began. Many of us, if you're like me, didn't even know you were searching until you were a finder. Until God found me and I found salvation, I had no idea that I was seeking, yet seek I must have been. Because in that instant, it was as if a door had opened and allowed me to understand something about myself that I had no way of knowing other than by accepting the offer when it was offered to me. And this is the same offering I'm offering to you. You are saved because I am saved along with you. And when we accept Saviorship and learn of its ways, we discover with total and passionate certainty that our desires have already been fulfilled, and now the only desire we could possibly have left is the desire to share the good news. This is what Jesus was all about 2,000 and some odd years ago. And you can go back and read it in the Bible now with the new mind that you've been experiencing by your practicing and utilization of the principles in the Course in Miracles that have opened your mind to a new possibility that the concepts have closed you off to. And you've used the concepts to protect yourself. How do I know? I did it myself. What am I saved from? That. I'm saved from my own faulty use of concepts to defend myself against something that I was so in need of that I wanted to deny the need because it made me look and feel weak. God bless us, everyone. God bless every single brother that I've ever met who has helped me to understand my function and to help me be about it. There's not much to say or do, but there is much that we can be about to allow the miracles that are necessary to make salvation complete come and light the entirety of the world, so no one need to get sick, suffer, and die any longer. The thoughts reflect the goal that is preventing me from accepting my function. At first, make no attempt to concentrate only on thoughts related to the idea for today, which is different than we were doing in the other lessons, right? Rather, try to uncover each one that arises to interfere with it. Now we're back to the undoing again. The earlier lessons in the workbook of the Course in Miracles, we've come full cycle. Yet we've increased the scope of what we are doing. We've increased the scope and targeted our goal. Note each one as it comes to you with as little involvement or concern as possible, dismissing each one by telling yourself, this thought reflects a goal that is preventing me from accepting my only function. After a while, interfering thoughts will become harder to find. Try, however, to continue a minute or so longer, attempting to catch a few of the idle thoughts which escaped your attention before, but do not strain or make undue effort in doing this, telling yourself, on this clean slate, let my function be written for me. On this clean slate, in this newborn mind and heart, free from the sacrifice that we've previously been making. Let my true function be written for me. Salvation is my only function here. It's the only thing you will ever achieve. And when it happens to you, you'll understand perfectly why this lesson was written the way it was.